Action to your plan to take the weight off this year. Addicted to restaurants? Are you addicted to restaurants? So are lots of Americans. What used to be a treat, going out for dinner, has become more common than cooking at home, and we think we're better off. Think again. Restaurant eating, fast foods and highly processed foods are turning us into a nation of tubbies. It's time to take back control of our waistlines. You choose where you eat, and you choose what you eat. Here are some suggestions to begin to make better choices. Restaurants exist to make a profit. The bottom line is restaurants exist to make a profit. They pile on the extra butter and rich cream sauces, caramelized sugar toppings, cheese sauce, double deluxe, new improved, and whatever they can do to make the food so enticing, so delicious, we just cannot resist. Fine for an occasional splurge, but not everyday fare, and herein lies the problem. Extra value meals. McDonald's started the trend by offering slightly larger portions for a bit more money, and every other food establishment quickly followed suit. Extra value, they called it. Who wouldn't order a bit more for only pennies? Today nearly every restaurant, fast food or sit-down dining, serves gigantic quantities that boggle the mind. There is usually enough food served for 2, sometimes 3 meals. Reading in Restaurant Confidential. Get a copy of this book and read it until it sinks in. The calorie count in the typical restaurant meal is so staggering it ends the surprise of why obesity is rampant and on the rise. Cheese fries with ranch dressing are listed at having over 3,000 calories and 217 grams of fat, 91 of them saturated. That's an entire day's worth of food, and it's considered an appetizer. Most people don't just eat the cheese fries either, so add in the rest of your day's calories and you end up with far more than you may realize. Anyone who eats out regularly, at least once a day, is likely consuming closer to 5,000 calories a day. Which easily explains their being overweight. Getting the calories out of restaurant food. Unless you mentally make it okay to pay good money for very plain foods, you're not likely to solve this puzzle. Here are a couple of painless ideas you can put into action at restaurants. 1. Just say no to supersizing. The size you ordered is already too big. Stop supersizing and you'll save money. See how to save money and lose weight. 2. Skip the bread and rolls served with most meals. Most family restaurants still serve a bread basket with your meal. Unless it's a fresh baked loaf, or some special bread, just skip it. You don't need to fill up on ordinary bread when you're paying good money for a meal. Just push it away, it's not that good. You can do it, if you want to. It's not that hard to simply choose not to put a roll on your plate. Try it, just once, and see if you don't walk out of that restaurant feeling strangely powerful. If you can't skip the rolls, at least skip the butter. That's right. Eat it plain. Bread all by itself is good enough. 3. Stop ordering drinks with your meals. I stopped buying the soft drinks many years ago when I realized they are a huge cash cow for the fast food restaurants. For pennies, they sell you a squirt of syrup and soda water and act like they're doing you a big favor by only charging you $1.29 for a giant 64 ounces. Soda. Start saving those dollars. If you take the meal home, just don't get a drink, and if you're eating it there, ask for water, or at least switch to diet drinks. Never drink fat pop. 5. Trim visible fat and skin. You really love the skin, of course it tastes good, it should, it's pure fat. Do you want to get leaner, or do you want to eat fat? You choose. I never eat chicken skin, and never eat the visible fat hanging off a steak, good taste or no. You have to decide what you want more, the second's worth of pleasure of a yummy taste, or a lifetime of carrying around an extra 40 pounds. 6. Ask for a doggy bag at the beginning of the meal. When the food is served, immediately portion off some to take home for tomorrow. Some restaurants always serve too much. Do this at those establishments to get used to the idea. 7. Get a copy of Restaurant Confidential and start checking out how much you're eating. Yes, I mentioned this twice. It's important. If you think eating out isn't causing part of the problem, I say, you're fooling yourself. This little book can help you realize what's been going on, and then you may find it easier to choose other dishes, split the meal into 2, or skip some extras. 8. Order one dinner and ask for an extra plate. Many restaurants will do this for $1 or $1.50 extra, and it's well worth it. Then share the meal with your friend and you split the cost straight down the middle. Turn eating out back into a treat if you really want to get a handle on your weight problem. Then first look at where you eat, second what you eat, and third how much you eat. If you absolutely cannot give up going to restaurants or fast food places every day, then you must start ordering plain, unadorned foods. You can't do that, which I can't, then just go out less often. Turn it back into a treat, a special occasion type thing, and then eat whatever you want. Find what works for you, and then do it. Train your eye to accept less food. Start training your eye to accept less food on the plate. We've taught ourselves to expect heaps of food, but your body doesn't need such huge quantities. Frankly, it takes a very tiny amount of food to supply our needed nutrients. If they developed a pill which contained all the calories and nutrients our bodies required, no one would want to take it. We like to eat. Eating is pleasurable, it's part of the makeup and experience of being human. Take back control of that most basic of human needs. Cook at home for friends and bring joy back into your life through food. If I ate out more often I'd gain weight. It's that simple. I know I maintain my weight with an average of about 2,200 calories a day. That's more than most dieters strive for, so how do I get away with eating that much? I make better choices. If I started eating out at restaurants more often, I'd suddenly be eating nearly double what I eat now calorie-wise without even trying. Double the calories and guess what? Weight gain won't be far behind. Trying to radically change your approach to food or exercise is rarely successful. More people that are successful at losing weight and keeping it off do so by making changes and incorporating them into their lifestyle. Start now. Choose one habit, such as eating out every day, or regular food you eat, and decide to cut back on how often, or the quantity. Set a plan, and do it. Make a deal with yourself and keep it. If you find you cannot, that you set yourself too strict a cutback, then modify it and do it again. Keep at it and you'll be successful. If you eat out every day during the week for lunch, here's a plan to make a small change. Carry your lunch one day a week, or save the extra from dinner out on Sunday night for lunch on Monday. Get together with your coworkers for a walking lunch every Wednesday. If there's a gym or fitness club in the vicinity of your work, join along with your coworkers and make an agreement to work out together 3 days a week, at lunchtime. Take brown bag foods you can eat at your desk those days. These small changes add up to big results. Try a couple in your daily life and see what happens. Why making small changes in your eating habits adds up to big results in your weight loss efforts. Tracking what I eat allows me to see trends over time, and also makes it very clear why my weight rises sometimes and falls others. If you decide to track your eating, it's best to simply capture yourself being yourself. Don't try to eat better just for the sake of logging better values. The idea is to discover your real eating habits and patterns. Think you know what you're eating? To demonstrate how easily we forget what we've eaten, try to write a log of what you ate yesterday from memory. You'll be able to remember the main meals, but you'll probably have more trouble remembering the little bits here and there. You may even think you didn't eat anything except the meals, but most people do, and yes, chewing gum counts, and so does anything you put in your mouth. Just list the basic foods, meals, etc., as best you can recall. Then put that list aside, and today write down what you actually eat as soon as possible after you eat it. Don't write your log before you eat either. That's not being yourself, that's dictating a prescribed diet. If you're following a certain eating plan, that's fine, but still wait until you've eaten it to write it down. If you remember what you already ate today, write that down too, including that tiny nibble of cake as you walked past, and that little grab from the peanut dish. Everything you eat or drink, including plain water, must be listed. Those extra tastes and nibbles can easily add up to 250 or more calories every day. Especially if you tend to taste while you cook. Here's a diet tip: stop licking the spoon. Quitting those little tastes while you cook could save you from adding a few pounds this winter. I know it sounds hard to do, but stop licking the beaters, scraping the last bits out of the bowl and popping bits in your mouth, to see if it's done. Just wait until it's ready, then go ahead and eat some, but remember, those tastes add up and they are not worth carrying around 5 extra pounds. Put the stirring spoons and beaters immediately under water if you must, or give them to the kids as a treat. The point of a food diary is to capture your regular eating patterns, then choose one thing at a time to work on changing. It's easier to work on changing one small habit at a time. No, each individual thing is not going to cause major weight loss, but they do add up. Resolve now that you will drop the habit of licking the spoon, or tasting as you cook. I can hear you wailing that you won't know if it tastes right. Okay, so you need one little teensy taste, but not hundreds, get it? A tiny bit on the tip of a spoon or fork tines, is not the same as multiple big bites while cooking. Tasting is not eating. Licking the entire remaining contents of the bowl you used for making pudding is not the same as a taste either. That's a serving. It's better to just break the habit. Sure, it's a holdover from when you were a kid. It was a treat to lick the spoon, but you're not a kid anymore, are you? Let your kids have their turn, but give this habit up for yourself. Remember, it's these little changes that create real results. It's one trick of those who stay naturally slender. Likewise, when you discover your general eating habits, you can choose one thing to change, cut back, or discard entirely. Sometimes it's best to just take it slowly, as in weaning yourself from whole milk to skim. First try 4%, and when that seems okay, switch down again to 2%. Eventually you'll be drinking skim milk and thinking it's fine. In fact, once you get used to it, you'll think whole milk tastes like pure cream. Of course, whole milk tastes better than skim, so do thousands of other foods taste better than each other, but you must choose what you'll regularly eat. Do you want to consume a large portion of calories and fat in your milk, or would you rather eat something more substantial plus the milk? Many would starve if McDonald's went out of business. What if there were a global energy failure and we no longer had fast food restaurants? Would you curl up in a ball and not know what else to eat, or would you simply learn what else is out there for nourishment? I'd venture you'd adapt to the circumstance. Look at Restaurant Confidential, by Michael F. Jacobson and Jane Hurley, for a shocking surprise when you see how many calories are in a regular restaurant meal. Once you see you're eating triple the calories you realize, it makes it much easier to cut back from eating out every night to 3 times a week, then twice or once, until one day you find you eat out for special occasions only. I hardly eat anything. Why can't I lose weight? I hear from a lot of people who say they can't understand why they can't lose weight, yet they eat out at restaurants or have fast food 2 or more times a day. They simply don't realize they are probably eating far more than 2,000 calories a day, and if they are not pretty active, that can add up to quite a few extra pounds. It doesn't do much good to figure out how many calories you need to lose weight and then far exceed that number simply because you aren't paying attention. Tracking what you eat does take some effort, but it's a great way to discover what's really going on regarding your habits and triggers. You may find you actually reach into the candy dish 6 times a day, or that you chew an entire pack of gum every day. You could be drinking hundreds of calories every day in just 1 or 2 extra soft drinks or coffee drinks. In fact, some coffee drinks contain more than 500 calories each. That's usually more than you'd eat for your entire breakfast. Start with just a small blank notebook, and if you enjoy the process you may want to look into a software program, but no matter what, the sooner you start capturing yourself being yourself, the sooner you're well on your way to weight loss success. Everyone has small weight gains and losses, but if those gains aren't noticed, and if the trend toward weight gain continues, then those extra pounds can become permanent. You'll know it because your clothes start to be too tight. If they get tight and stay tight, then you've got a decision to make. For me, when this happens, I notice the trend, and then work to reverse it if I'm getting a bit too comfortable at a higher weight body fat than what I really want. For me, a small weight gain is difficult to notice because I tend to gain it evenly all over. I can lose 10 pounds and no one will notice but me, but my clothes fit better, my disposition is better, and I feel so much better. They do notice the spring in my step and the smile on my face. Winter weight gain. Last winter, early 2004, I put on the normal 4 or 5 holiday pounds, and then come late January I noticed they were still there. Normally they'd just come right back off as I got back into my usual eating habits. I scratched my head and went about my life, eating about the same, exercising about the same, and then in March I thought, hey, what's up with this? Because I still was carrying around that so-called winter weight. I'd gained about 7 pounds and could not for the life of me figure out why. I started to consider everything I could think of that could be causing it. Was it early menopause? Was I eating more than I realize? Was I exercising inconsistently? Had I developed more muscle? Was it bad karma or something I'd done in a previous life? What on earth could it possibly be? Come summer 2004 I was unhappy to find I wasn't happy with how I looked in shorts or a bathing suit, but too bad. I'm not putting off life because my legs aren't great. Hey, I'm pushing 50 years old, so give me a break. I just went about my business, but I started to pay more attention. I discovered those Mike's Hard Lemonades I'm so fond of in the summer pack quite a calorie wallop. I also found I could eat half a sandwich and be satisfied. Slowly I started to cut back my quantities and pay better attention to the quality of what I was eating. Now I could eat half a baked potato, when before I'd always eat a whole large potato, and I was drinking a lot of calories. I also wasn't very consistent with my exercise. All these small things added up to a few pounds. So ultimately, I made some changes. I stopped the alcohol calories cold turkey, started to eat a bit less by portion control, having half a sandwich or baked potato instead of always having the whole even if I'm already satisfied. I also got more aggressive with my weight lifting and switched from my one body part a day to a 4-day split, which basically added about 2 hours a week to my exercise. I had always been pretty consistent with my exercise bike, riding on average about 3.5 hours a week altogether. Here it is December and I find those 7 pounds long gone. I'm looking good and feeling better and coming into 2005 without that extra weight monkey on my back. The changes I made were slight, but it made all the difference. As it turned out, none of my earlier attempts at excuses were correct. I'd just simply gotten more relaxed with my eating and exercise, and it was starting to show. I'm not ultra strict with these things either, so don't get me wrong. You do not have to be an exercise fanatic, nor do you have to restrict your eating. My new habit is chocolate cake and ice cream nearly every night during the week, but now I buy a single slice of cake. I used to eat the whole piece at one sitting, and I cut off a third. Tomorrow I'll cut the remainder in half, and the next night I eat the rest. 3 servings instead of 1. I add a quarter pint of Häagen-Dazs to my bowl, and it's a totally satisfying treat to end my dinner. I do tend to eat my dessert even if I'm full from dinner, but hey, one thing at a time. If I want to sometime tackle breaking this habit, I will. For now, I'm happy with my size and my health. So, little changes, big results. Now, coming into the holiday season, that seasonal weight gain probably won't happen at all this year because I'm much more aware. I'll eat what I want and really enjoy the season, and maybe put on a few pounds, but come January I'll get right back to the habits I'm using now and they'll come right back off, just like they have nearly every year before. It's not so difficult to maintain, but it can be difficult to stay aware. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and for more ways on how to lose weight check out the link in the description.